Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I'm your host, Felipe, and with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
We're here. We are here, even though I woke up like 10 minutes before I was supposed to, because I thought we were going tomorrow night, but ran over here, got everything set up, and now we're here.
Why would we go tomorrow night?
I don't know, because we had done Monday night like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, and you had mentioned it earlier this week or last week, and for some reason that stuck in my head, and I checked my phone, and I was like, oh, never mind, we're going now. So
Yeah, because tomorrow is the home run derby, and that is one thing that I don't miss for the world. I am ashamed of myself. I did miss most of the NBA draft, which is like, a yearly event for me. That's the one thing I put on the calendar. Like, wife, don't bother me, please. Penny, Penny, don't bother me. Go to your mother. This is my event. This is what I watch.
This is my event.
But I couldn't. I completely forgot all about it, honestly. And then when I got to it, I just kind of lost interest. Like, man, these players suck. I don't want to deal with these guys. But the home run derby is the other one where, like, it's on the schedule. It's on the calendar. Don't bother me from this time to that time this evening, because I am going to watch some dingers. And with that being said, it is a Total Basis podcast, and I am disabled from screen sharing there, Sean.
Oh, no.
I
Oh,
want you to
no.
fix that.
I'm usually so good about that. There you go.
But
You're good.
we are going to be talking about the home run derby. And as always, because this is the Total Basis podcast, we have a spreadsheet to share, and it's going to be the home run derby by the numbers. And for those who are watching live, flip your phones over if you want to see the whole thing. For those listening on Spotify later in the future, go to our YouTube page and check that out. I wish there was a way where you could share files to Spotify, but I guess technology is not there.
It'd be a little confusing.
Be a little freaky. But anyway, here it is by the numbers. As you can see, Luis Robert is the number one seed. The stats are as of this morning when I punched in the numbers. Luis Robert is your number one seed. He will be facing Adley Rutschman, who's basically sacrificial lamb. One of the worst home run derby performances I've ever seen, Sean, was Freddie Freeman. I forgot what year it was, but I just remember watching him and I'm thinking, man, is he he is not up for this. I mean, he is one of the best pure hitters. He just happens to be a really good hitter who hits for power. He's not a power hitter who happens to be a good hitter. And make it make sense, right? Yeah. That's why we have those prospect rates, right? There's the raw power and the game power. Freddie Freeman has game power. His raw power is non-existent. At least that home run derby that he was showcasing, it was lacking. And there's been other guys like Alex Bregman, who, again, great hitter, not a very good pure power hitter, especially for an event like this.
If you're Alex Bregman, it definitely depends on the park, because he's already always had, I think, a little bit of overrated power that played up because of the park he was in with the Crawford boxes in Houston. But if you put him in any sort of like regular size dimensioned stadium, he can't just pull a little 365-foot home run to the Crawford boxes. It's not going to work like that.
Big shout out, good morning to Jet Dry, who's tuning in this morning. I actually saw him on Monday.
He's hard to miss. He's very tall.
He's a very tall man. Yeah,
very tall.
But he was always good to see him. I got to see him on Monday afternoon for the Brewers versus Cubs game up in Milwaukee, or as I like to call it, Wrigley Field North, as everybody likes to call it, Wrigley Field North. So Wisconsin, Milwaukee, you are welcome for those tourist dollars. But I got to see Austin in person, got to see Ted Cagney in person. Jet was there in person. So always good to see the crew up there. I don't know how I made it in one piece, though, as apparently, long story short, Sean, as I was driving to Milwaukee, I must have hit something, because I ended up with a bulge on my tire, and not of the erotic kind either. Just something that was sticking out and it was shaking my car.
Your car was just happy to be in Wisconsin.
It must have been, because it was wagging all over the damn place.
Oh, God.
And I couldn't figure out why. And then like a day later, as I was going to the White Sox game on the 4th of July, there it is, looking at me like yesterday's canker sore.
Are you going to fix me?
Yeah, or when I have to fix, you're gonna have to fix it for the both of us, and it won't be pretty. So I went ahead and fixed it, and my car continues to give me all types of issues. But that's why public transportation, right, Sean? I should have just taken the train up to Milwaukee, right? And anyway, I don't think there is one. There's no bullet train. This ain't Japan. Luis Robert. So anyway, all this to say that I was gonna say, Sean, it's kind of like the slam dunk contest, right? Where people are wondering why LeBron James isn't involved in it, and maybe he is cowering up, or maybe he realizes that he's not up for the event because some NBA players are very good in-game dunkers, but they're not very good exhibition dunkers. That's why you see the Harold Miners and then this past season the Mac McClungs of the world. Mac McClung cannot survive on an NBA roster. He's been like in and out of the G League for years now, but he made his name
doing the dunk contest.
During the dunk contest, which was a thing that he's always been like superb at, both in game and in exhibitions. I mean, that's how he made his name on YouTube and on social media, was because he was dunking all over the place in high school, and that's what attracted a lot of teams. But for some reason, he can't stick to play NBA basketball. But he was ready for the dunk contest, so that's what I compare it to. Some NBA players are good at in-game dunking only, but they're not good at exhibition dunking, like a slam dunk contest. Just like how some baseball players are good at game power, to showcase that game power and all those other skill sets that comes with it. But when it comes to the home run derby contest, they get exposed and it's not a good showing. And I think Adley Rushman he's a sacrificial lamb for this one. He would have lost no matter who he had faced in this stacked. And I got to say, Sean, as you can see from the list, it's not just a stacked player list, but it's also a list of guys that we've seen in the home run derby before.
And so the thing with Adley, I think, is he is such an underdog, and I can't remember if it was actually him or not, but I want to say I saw videos of him participating in some, like, maybe when he was in high school or in the minor leagues, he did a home run derby that I think he won. So it's like he definitely seems like the easy fade, especially going up against Luis Robert. But I feel better about him than I do maybe a couple other guys on this list.
Yeah, well, as you can see from the numbers, he's just overmatched. I mean, there's gonna have to be now every once in a while, Sean. As I was getting as I was trying to get to my point here was every once in a while you throw away the numbers, as you should. This is the All-Stars. It's an exhibition. You throw out the numbers, right? And then intangibles set in, right? It almost feels like it's almost scripted, right? Like the script shows that Pete Alonso is supposed to win this year, right? Or how Bryce Harper won it all in Washington, in his hometown, and he was just. It almost felt like a wrestling event. As you know, I'm a big wrestling fan, a professional wrestling fan, and it felt like a wrestling event where Bryce Harper was playing the heel, all across America, but in his hometown. I mean, he was a CM Punk or CM Punk in Chicago or Bret Hart in Canada. Bryce Harper in Washington D.C. was the super baby face of that event, and he eventually won in very dirty questionable means and ways, as Kyle Schwarber felt that Harper was kind of bending the rules a little bit for his advantage. But regardless, he gets the home run derby, and it was appropriate, right? Yeah. So every once in a while, we will get that. I don't know if you get that from Adley Rushman, where last year's Wonderkind gets called.
Well, I mean, like I feel like the big thing with the home run derby is it's not always the person with the best raw power. I think it takes a certain amount of stamina. I think stamina is and being a catcher, like, he's got some stamina, like his legs aren't going to get tired. And it's also, if you just have like the barrel control to hit it to the same spot over and over, like the easiest, if you can take advantage of the ballpark. Seattle is a little bit tougher on lefties, so I'm not sure if he's batting. I would assume he would bat left-handed, but knowing that the Seattle ballpark usually plays down for left-handed power, maybe that gives an edge. Maybe twist him around to the right side. I don't know, but should be maybe interesting.
He'll switch it up in the middle of his.
Wouldn't that be funny? He takes a break, like takes one of his timeouts, and then switches to the other side.
Yeah, again, wrestling term. It was the swerve that we weren't expecting, right? To use the wrestling term, and the whole wrestling.
We're all gonna get worked.
Archetype. We're gonna get worked here.
I know the terms. I know some of these words.
But I'm pretty confident to say that Adley Rushman is here to do a job, and his job is to Luis Robert in this round. So I as you can see, Robert has 26 home runs. Two other players have 26 home runs. It's Betts and Pete Alonso. Decent isolated power. Again, that's just basically all the extra base hits, minus singles per plate appearances or at bats. I forgot which one it was, but it's basically what's the rate that you can get an extra base hit. Yeah. Exit velocity for Luis Robert is 89 miles an hour. So it's not 90 miles an hour, but still better than some of these other guys. And most importantly for Luis Robert, 15.3 barrel percent rate. And that is the second highest on this list. So even though he doesn't hit the ball hard, I think an event like this where Robert doesn't have to guess slider, breaking pitch away, or change up inside, he's just gonna get straight straight T-ball shots down the middle, I have to assume, and he's gonna hit it where he wants to hit it. I still think that he's the most athletically gifted player in all of baseball. And I think this is gonna be a great way for him to display his skill set and physical attributes. So
yeah, he's fourth in no doubters. Looking at Statcast, metrics with is it a home run in a small amount of ballparks? Is it gone in most of them, or is it gone in all of them? He has 14 no doubt home runs. 14 of his 26 home runs would be gone in any ballpark in baseball. That places him fourth behind Shohei Ohtani with 18, actually tied for third. Shohei Ohtani 18, Matt Olson 15, and Luis Robert tied with Jack Sawinski at 14. Mookie Betts comes in seventh on that list with 11, as well as Pete Alonso's down at 10. So he definitely has the most no doubt home runs of anyone on this list. So I think that maybe helps him, because when he does connect, it's like 420 feet, just consistent. Right. And that sometimes helps, but
sometimes
we'll see how it's just the home run derby is so unpredictable.
Yes,
because it's like, okay, you go
Albert Pujols last year.
Yeah, you go from hitting home runs against guys throwing like 75 mile an hour sinkers, and you sliders, and you pull it and you just yank it down the line, or you just turn on a fastball that provides a lot of velocity both to the ball on its way out, as well to guys just throwing 50 mile an hour, lobbing it in there, and it takes a lot of energy for you to add velocity to that ball and hit it a long way. So,
that's also a good point.
It's a very unpredictable nature of the beast.
Yeah, I've been playing this mobile baseball game on my phone a lot lately. It's the dumbest, easy peasy.
Is it tap baseball?
It's close to it. I used to play that, but it's I think it's called Baseball 9, and it's a Japanese game, and I'm addicted to it because it's the dumbest, no-brainer, turn off your mind and just see ball, hit ball. But every once in a while, they'll throw a guy in with an 88 mile per hour fastball, but the guy throws 55% knuckleballs, and let me tell you, it is the absolute worst. But Felipe, it's only throwing at 55, 60 miles an hour. Just drive it. No, you drive it. It's like going from a Ferrari to a minivan, and it's the worst. And I can see how these players struggle to hit one of those ephus pitches, or when the position player goes up to pitch,
player comes in,
and they just lob it. Why isn't he just towering that ball 500 feet into the stand? Because
and half the time it's they just hit a fly ball, a regular fly ball to center field, the Mets in their series against Arizona where they swept them. The Mets sweeping the National League West Division leaders, which was shocking to me. But Carson Kelly came out to pitch, and he just went up there and he got 3 quick outs. And it was as a catcher, he has a good arm.
Yeah.
But the first 5 pitches were 60, 65. And then on the last batter, he just threw an 84 mile an hour fastball that he just the hitter was wait, what was that?
Yeah, it messed them up.
And then he threw another 60, and he just flew out to center field, walked off the mound. Yeah, I'm good at this.
So let's go over to the bottom of the bracket here, the 4-5 seed, Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. And I was going to mention that you're right, it's unpredictable, the home run derby, but it also has this WrestleMania feel to it, like it's scripted, right? Like someone's
Yeah.
booking this. Manfred is booking for Albert Pujols to
It's rigged.
to Albert Pujols to go the distance in the home run derby, right? That's what it feels like sometimes. And I honestly think Adolis Garcia you know me, Sean, I am not a fan of Adolis Garcia, but I understand that he comes with certain attributes that might be very friendly to a contest like this. Him and Robert might just have the best physical and physical attributes that you just it's the eye test, right? You look at the guys and you just look at how he plays and how he swings the bat and what he looks like, and you go, this is a guy that can win the home run derby. Just this is the horse to bet on right here. And that's my that's kind of like my literally my dark horse, right? Adolis Garcia, and he has the numbers to prove it. You know, it's a 259 ISO power, which, you know, it's not it's in the top 4. It looks like he's one of the few players that has the ISO power above 250. 92.3 mile per hour exit velocity, which is one of the few that half the list of these players are over 90 miles per hour, and Adolis Garcia is one of them, and has the highest barrel rate at 16.2% of this list. One of the few players on this list with a 50% hard hit rate as well. That's the StatCast hard hit rate. And it's like the numbers justify whatever it was on my eye test. So Adolis Garcia, I could definitely see going all the way to the distance and winning this whole thing. But then you have those intangibles, that scripted feel to it, where you got a guy like Randy Arozarena who's the numbers aren't as
the people's champion.
Impressive.
People's champion.
Captain Mexico, right? Like the numbers aren't as impressive as Adolis Garcia, but he has one thing that you cannot teach. He has that swag. This feels like Harper at the Washington the Nationals ballpark home run derby. And Arozarena, we've seen that when the spotlight is brightest, he shines with it as well. He's a supernova out there. So I want, as much as I think that Adolis Garcia, because he does have those physical attributes and the numbers to match, that he will do wonders in this derby. I think Arozarena I would not be surprised if Arozarena just also takes that torch and surprises a bunch of people, because he's only at plus 900, which that's the second lowest odds behind, just ahead of Adley Rushman here at plus 900, according to Sportsline odds. So he is not expected to do much in this derby, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes pretty damn far, just because, like I said, it's just that there's that other level, right? That some of these superstar athletes, the ones that have the highest swag, the highest charisma, he's a very charismatic player that can turn it on. I don't know. So am I speaking out of my butt here? Do you believe in those intangibles and that charisma factor?
For a moment, I do. Or I could see where it'd be advantageous to have somebody like Randy Arozarena like go far in this competition just for the excitement he brings. But I don't think he's built for a competition like this. I don't know. I think he is maybe one of the more least, I don't say least prepared guys for this. I just feel like this isn't his game. Like I think if he put him in some sort of like skills competition, like, yeah, cool. But like it's like the 3-point shootout versus the skills competition. Like I feel like he could definitely do really well in like a all-star mini game. But I don't think the home run derby's it. I don't think the home run derby is it for him.
I'm getting some comments here. Your guy Daniel is asking, what are the odds that Alonso is lifting weights again during the derby this year?
Oh, 100%. 100%. He's got to like loosen up those hamstrings.
I gotta say, I was very happy to see that Alonso is back, and a lot of these players are making their return to this home run derby, unlike the NBA, unfortunately, where the slam dunk contest, a lot of these players, they rarely come back.
Yeah, they do it once and then that's it.
Yeah, the last time I saw like players actually be excited to come back was Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon coming back.
Yeah,
and we thought Aaron Gordon was going to win the second contest, and he ended up losing to LaVine again. But again, that also felt like it was rigged, like it was not on the level, and it felt like it was scripted. And but I'm actually glad that these guys are like, yeah, we'll be back for it. Whatever, I don't care. It's fine. The Mets aren't going anywhere, he says. But the other thing I like is the fact that Alonso takes it so seriously that he's like, I need to work on my core in between at bats. I need to keep loosened up. I need to get swole. I need to lift weights while I wait for my turn again. I love that. I mean,
it's so much. It's funny because so many people give him shit on like on social media and Twitter and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's taking this way too seriously." But it's like he wants to win. Like he's competitive, and it's like when you see him on the field, like he's still joking around with all the other contestants, his teammates, having a good time. It's not like he's like, "Don't look at me," like Max Scherzer 7 innings into a no hitter. It's like, "Don't fucking look at me." It's just like yeah, he's having fun, but he's also going to take the competition seriously because one, it's money to him, and two, he donates half of the $1 million to charity. And like this is his chance to drum up money for charity, add a little money into his, and of course the accolade itself. And since he came into the league, he is the home run champ. Nobody has hit more home runs since 2019 than Pete Alonso. I think he's serious about being like, I'm the home run guy of baseball. Like, just sit down and watch me. But also the fact this year, so this is going to be his 4th home run derby. Yeah, 4th. Wow. This is his 3rd different person he's going to have throwing to him. Wow. He announced on Sunday Night Baseball last week that he's actually having his middle school travel ball coach. He had told him when he was like 13, 14 years old, hey, if I ever make it to the home run derby, I'm going to have you pitch. Well, the first few times it was like his best friend from high school, and then he had Dave Joust twice. And Dave Joust, of course, was just like on the money, like every single time. And he was the bench coach for the Mets. And even when he wasn't the bench coach for the Mets last year, like he met up with them a couple of times before the derby, and wasn't really Jousty's fault. Jousty was great again. It's just a lot of guys had great derbies last year, and we'll see how Alonso does this year with his travel ball coach. Apparently, pregame in San Diego, they met up a couple of times, and they were joking about it in the S&Y booth that you think they pumped in like crowd noise, stadium noise, like because it's like Ron Darling said, you have like these lay people go out there in front of 30,000 people. They've never been on a field with more than 300 people in the stands. It's like it's very easy to get rattled. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned when David Wright did the home run derby, his pitcher was actually Paul LaDuca, the catcher, and LaDuca ran out of gas. And it's just like, oh my God, it's like the things that could go wrong that don't even have anything to do with the hitter. It's like, oh God. It adds to the unpredictability of the whole event.
Right. And keep in mind, this is the original pitch clock.
Yeah.
Like, this is where Manfred got the idea for the pitch clock. Well, if it makes for great television in the home run derby, imagine if you could do it for the entire game. So, well, that's been an argument this week again. Like, why do they have to put the pitch clock? Back in my day, baseball games didn't last 4 hours, and it's because of all these commercials. Well, back in your day, baseball was not getting those sponsorship dollars. They were not getting those revenue. So in the 19, somebody argued, well, it's just, they were a lot shorter back. Commercial breaks were shorter in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Yeah, they would have killed owners. Charlie Finley would have killed for 3-minute commercial breaks just so you could pump in more. Like, I don't understand.
And you see what the thing is,
what this is about.
Yeah, the home run derby got better when they added a clock. When the whole
absolutely
rounds of 3 strikes and just sitting there and watching in the home run derby, them just like take the pitch. Yeah, that was boring. And
really boring. Yeah,
I mean, there was moments like when Josh Hamilton just went completely apeshit. That one year, I remember exactly where I was. I was doing 9th grade biology homework, and I was like, "Ooh!" And I kept hitting him, and I was like, "Holy crap! When is he going to stop?" But oh God! But when they added the clock, this new form of derby, like it really got interesting, and there's a whole lot more drama and suspense to it. When you see the clock running down, and then finally the guy hits one over 450 feet, and he gets an extra 25 seconds, and you're like, okay, he's got an even better chance now. And I think nothing summed that up better than the Vladimir Guerrero and who was that? Soto or Jock? And there was Vlad and Jock a few years ago when that was just an absolute masterpiece. of Home Run Derby.
Really,
Obviously, he didn't win it that year. Pete Alonso
right.
did, but that was like just great television.
Really quick, Melvin is on board. He's asking, what would stop the nonsense about if a home run is a home run anywhere? And I wondered if it was talking about uniform dimensions, which is
I feel like
as
that's
much
where
as
he's
I would
going.
love to do that. Hell, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things I would love to see in Major League Baseball. If everybody's concerned about lack of action and we want better athletes playing this game and more running and all that, you got to make the dimensions larger. But they're not going to do that. They're not even going to make uniform dimensions, let alone larger dimensions where pitchers don't have to be worried about home run balls as often like they did in the 50s and 60s, where they were happy to give up walks and they were happy to give up fly balls because they know that they were going to land somewhere in deep center field and not in the stands. But that's never going to happen. Jet says 100% you cannot ever let an opportunity get some gains go to waste, brother. I don't know what the hell he's talking about there. You guys, I'm on a delay here. I say something and then your messages come like 5 minutes later, it seems like. So please be specific. Daniel, where is Ronald Acuna on this list? Like, not on this list. I could tell you that much. And
he's not in the Derby.
And I have a request here from Jet as well. Pick a wrestler that represents each hitter. And I was thinking, okay, so if I were to do this, since we have a wrestling crossover here that but that's a spin I'm going with today. I've been watching a lot of All Elite Wrestling, but I figured, let's go back to a time where everybody was more or less watching this nonsense, right? And I would say that Luis Robert is like the Lex Luger of his derby, and Adley Rushman is the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh God!
But the ultimate jobber that he was, Adley Rushman is here to do the job and do the job right, and that's to get eliminated in grand fashion in the first round. While Luis Robert has a look, but will he ever get the chance to get that championship gold and run with it? I mean, the path is there. It's there for him to take it. So let's see what happens. Is he all look, or is there some substance to him?
Well, I mean, the thing with Adley is like if he can sneak by Robert and Mookie Betts pulls up an upset on Vlad, I think Adley could beat Mookie. I think that's a pretty easy bet. I think Adley could beat Mookie.
I think Rushman's losing to whoever he has to face in this round, in this derby. Since we talked number 4, number 5, Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. Adolis Garcia, oh my God. So again, we're looking for someone with a great physique, but also unproven, just like Luis Robert. Oh boy, this is a hard one. I can't think. Jet, help me out here. Well, anyway, I know that Randy Arozarena, he's easily my Shawn Michaels. Like, he's not as big, but is full of charisma, and you never know what to expect. And he's a showstopper. He always puts on a great show. And I hate Shawn Michaels. As you know, I call him Sham Michaels.
Shawn Michaels is my favorite when I like
screw
wrestling.
That guy. No, I lost my smile. Yeah, well, try to turn your face upside down, you faker. I have a knee injury, and then he's like running around, walking around like nothing's wrong with him. Like, I don't want to lose to Bret Hart, bitch. Anyway, Randy Arozarena is that guy. I mean, Randy Arozarena is far from being a B word, but Arozarena is probably the most Shawn Michaels will ever get to Major League Baseball this season. And Adolis Garcia, oh man, I'm thinking of like an old-timey wrestler with a great body, but it's kind of unproven. Never got a chance. Scott Steiner. Let's call him Scott Steiner. Why not? Adolis Garcia is Scott Steiner. All right. So we'll do it one by one. Let's go to the number 3, number 6 seed here. Vladimir Guerrero versus Mookie Betts. And this is just an unfortunate thing that's happening here because both of these guys, they're big names in Major League Baseball. But one of them has to lose, and
it's Vlad. Vlad's winning. Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's just been too good in the Derby.
However, as you can see, Mookie Betts is a plus 900, along with Arozarena, so they're expected not to do anything. But however, Mookie Betts has a lot more home runs, much higher ISO power, much higher WRC plus. The exit velocity, Guerrero leads the league, leads this list in exit velo at 94.5 miles an hour. But Mookie Betts is at plus 90 as well, so it's not like he's a slouch out there. Barrel rates are about similar, although Vladimir Guerrero has a 1% advantage at 13.8%, and definitely the hard hit rate the advantage goes to Vladimir Guerrero. So there's a lot of give and take here. I could see this one being the most exciting matchup of this entire derby. I could see it go down to the wire. I could see a 1 home run edge. but I wouldn't discount Mookie Betts quite yet. But like you said, it seems like Guerrero has the experience and definitely has that showmanship and that ability to go far in this derby as well.
Interesting. I think Betts puts up the lowest home run total of anyone in the first round. That's my prediction. That's my.
Now, let me ask you this.
Deep
Let me ask you this. I got to ask you this, man. Mookie Betts, are you saying that because he's a small guy, not a kid anymore?
Not necessarily that. I think he's probably more of a better in-game hitter than batting practice hitter, and this comes down to batting practice essentially. And I think it's just not his thing.
All right. Mookie Betts, just because of his size and just so we're doing this wrestling thing, I think he's the 1-2-3 kid. And just because he's not expected to do much, but if he does, then oh well for Vladdy Guerrero. And that means that Vladimir Guerrero, who would that be? I mean, he's a big guy with strong base and leg power. And I can't stop but think about Big Van Vader. May not be the best comparison, but yeah, big guy. Guerrero's a big guy as well. And he's not evil. He's a very jovial guy, Guerrero is. But I'm going to go with Vic Van Vader. Vic Van Vader versus the 1-2-3 kid, and that should be a massacre. But just like the 1-2-3 kid, I could see Mookie Betts pulling those big monumental upsets as well. So, and then we finally get to Pete Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez has shown that he has the bat speed and, again, that it factor to do wonders in a home run derby. He is the hometown kid. Yep. Seattle Mariners player, but he's been struggling this year. Mariners have tried to put him in the leadoff spot. He didn't like that, and it seems like once he got moved down to the number 2 spot, he kind of resurrected his season so far. But as you can see, these numbers are kind of pedestrian compared to everybody else. Everybody else except for Adley Rutschman, because he's the worst player on this list here. But again, he has the exit velocity. His barrel rate is above 10%, barely, but it's technically above 10%. It is at 10%.
It's 10%.
10%, just like the sales tax here in Illinois sometimes. 51.2% hard hit rate. It is, again, above 50%. So he has the raw tools to showcase that power and go places. But we just mentioned number 2 seed is Pete Alonso.
Yeah. But if there's one person in this list that could upset him, I think Pete Alonso might have the hardest competition, even as a 2 seed going up against J-Rod, because like you mentioned, the bat speed. This is the stadium that he's used to. He plays in it every day basically. So, and was he in it last year? I don't think he was.
Julio?
Yeah,
I thought he was.
I'm trying to remember how he did last year, and with the first one. He did out pretty of the well. Way. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is he got set last year. He hit 81 in the Derby throughout all of his rounds. He beat Seager and somebody else.
Really quick, Sean, do you still have that no doubt home run list? Because Daniel is asking about where does Acuna rank?
Yes, I had that pull. Let me pull it back up. It's going to be of home run no doubters. Acuna was tied for, actually no, not tied. He was 3rd with 13, so right between Robert and Betts.
Okay, maybe he should be on this derby. I don't know. But no doubters. You're walking on spider webs there, Sean. So yeah, I think Julio has just been so inconsistent this year that it's almost the safe money is to put it all on Pete Alonso in this matchup. But again, Julio Rodriguez does have that it factor. He has that upset factor. But Alonso's as steady as it gets here. Yeah. That's why for my wrestler, I'm going to go Pete Alonso is Bret the Hitman Hart, because he does just like Bret the Hitman Hart. He takes things way too seriously, and it's still real to him, damn it.
It's still real to him.
The script, the booking is just a suggestion, but he's out there trying to, spoil the booking and creating his own piece of artwork inside that baseball diamond, inside that squared circle. And Julio Rodriguez, I he's a fast, exciting guy. I see him as a high flyer, so I don't know. He could be a Mexican luchador. Let's say he's I don't want to call him Rey Mysterio because that's way too short. Maybe Mookie Betts should have been Rey Mysterio. I'm gonna say Mookie Betts is Rey Mysterio Jr. here. And Julio Rodriguez, let's call him. Oh my God, I can't think. Some high flyer, not Billy Kidman. That's just a bad name. Let's fuck it. Let's Eddie Guerrero. Julio Rodriguez is Eddie Guerrero. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Latino Heat. Julio Rodriguez, and that's that. And here is my bracket. Let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger for the class. Luis Robert, Atlee Rushman at the top of the list here. I got Robert versus Adolis Garcia. Advancing Mookie Betts versus Guerrero. I got Guerrero advancing. For all the reasons I mentioned before. Pete Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez. I got Pete Alonso.
That's gonna be the crazy one between Vlad and Pete.
Yeah,
that's gonna be absurd.
Well,
because I feel like I guess Pete will go first because he's the higher seed. But if Pete was the lower seed, I'd feel better about him advancing over Vlad. But I think if Vlad knows the number he needs to get to, he's gonna get it. So we'll see.
Interesting. So in this instance, it's not good to hit so many home runs.
Well, I'm trying to think. Do they give? I can't remember if they give who hits first. Who's the higher seed if they get to bat last? I think so.
Well,
I can't remember.
Well, we can either look up the rules right now, or we'll just find out on Monday night home run derby baseball. In the second round, I have Adolis Garcia upsetting Luis Robert. It's going to be the Spider-Man meme where the two Spider-Mans are showing up and they kind of point at each other again. So what would this be? This is Lex Luger versus who did I say? Oh, Scott Steiner.
Oh God.
Oh my God. I can definitely you know what would be more exciting would be seeing Lex Luger and Scott Steiner in their primes just trying to bench dumbbells, or what do you call it? Work on 80-pound dumbbells. I think I would enjoy this. I would enjoy that as well with Luis Robert and Adolis Garcia. Just see how much weighted dumbbells they can pick up and lift and do all that stuff. That should be a fun one. But I got Garcia going. Vladimir Guerrero versus Pete Alonso. I do have Guerrero upsetting Alonso, so it'll be the 4th and 6th seed in the final. And to my surprise, I got Adolis Garcia winning this whole thing. Sean, do you have a champion that you want to show off?
I think it's gonna be Peter Vlad. I think
gotta pick one.
Whoever comes out. I say Pete gets his revenge after losing last year. I think he's gonna win this year.
All right. So,
but if he loses to Vlad, then it's Vlad's to lose.
What the hell color is that? What color did I use here?
Fuchsia, whatever that color is.
No, for Pete Alonso, is it this color? I'll just go with this color. There, now it's official. You can I sent you the spreadsheet so you can make your own correction there. But now it's official. It's on the YouTube page. Sean picks.
Okay, the higher seed hits second.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so if unless Vlad puts up just like a crazy number, I think Pete can catch him. We'll see.
All right. Oh, wait, I should probably, formatting is very important. I capitalize this Alonso. There we go. And then we do one of these. This is very riveting. I can't help it, Sean. Now that I know that you picked your picks, I want to make this all nice and fancy, merch and center. Nothing too complicated here. And that is it. Let us know who you guys want to pick for the home run derby. And we shall make those picks and memorialize for the rest of the time. How about that? Then we can laugh at your picks and see how wrong you were.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, Sean. It's not about having a civil conversation. It's about rubbing in people's faces of how wrong they were. At least that's how people treat me, I guess it seems like. As I proceed to the next thing that we're going to discuss really quick. And I got your message. I see that how are we doing on time? Oh, okay. Yeah, we just finished a home run derby talk. Really quickly, let's go to the second aspect of our conversation, and that is the Fantrax League, also known as the Baseball Life League. Sean, I got a bunch of things I want to showcase here, so just humor me for a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is do the year-to-date standings in that Baseball Life League, where as of right now, oh, wait, that's not the regular. Oh, let's go here. Regular season standings. There we are. Felipe just recently beat Jacob Moses for first place in that league. So, the last time we talked on this show, I was in first place. Now that we're re-reviewing this league again, I'm in first place again. Everything is perfectly balanced as it should be. This is the only results that matter is that Felipe is in first place. And I mentioned Jacob's in second. Mike Harvey's in third in the standings, tied for third with Sean's team, Mad Dog Magical. Bronx Bombers is James Pinos is in fifth. Chicks Stick the Long Ball, and They See Me Rolling. That's Angels team. They're tied for sixth. Remember, they've been talking smack with each other this whole time about. Now they're dead tied with a 14-14 record. And then Jet was on board earlier this morning. He's on 12-16. 12-16, along with Leon, also at 12-16, along with Andrew O'Sullivan, 12-16. Henry
James,
James,
what happened?
Well, really quick, Henry, the guy you beat in last year's championship game, he is now 9-19, and then you bet some winning with the Marte Parte. That is James Handelboat's team. Dead last. James was the guy who tied my regular season win-loss record. And it looks like he's going to be tying someone's worst losing record as well this season. How things turn. It's not easy, Sean. I make it look easy, but it's not easy, Sean. It's not. But you don't have 0 championships. Yeah, well, I'd rather be 20-8 than 7-21. I can tell you that much. Anyway, well, the whole practice was here. We were gonna go and see where, just shine a spotlight on these on some of these teams by looking at the roto standings. As you can see, from the bottom up, we talked about how Henry has a lot of saves. So we were going to look at Henry's team and see why he has so many saves. And the number one reason he has so many saves is because he has Jordan Romano on his team. Sean, quickly humor us. What has Jordan Romano done this season that has made him one of the more elite closers in 2023?
You see, I don't think it's just him having Jordan Romano. I think it's
we're just gonna focus on one player at a time because we'll be here all day. We'll be here all day.
That helps, but it's the combination of Sewell Duran combining to give him 28 saves between those guys, as well as having one of the top 4 closers in terms of save totals in Jordan Romano.
No, but can you talk about what Jordan Romano has done? Because Jordan Romano has always been like a solid top 10, top 12, top 13 closer in the last couple of years. But in this instance, I think we might be able to make an argument for next season that he could be top 2, top 3. I mean, do you see it that way? Is this just a one-off year for him, or is this the start of something of a legendary run at the top of the closer list here?
I mean, I think it's arguably one of his better years. I wouldn't say that just because of the save totals. I mean, he's always been pretty good. I don't think this changes much for me on where, like, he's definitely top 5. I don't think I move him past the guys that have been ahead of him. So,
all right, we got over to Jet, who was just on board, and we're looking to see. Let's see, what's that 9 batting average, right? So maybe we'll just take a look at that. Let's take a look at where Jet ranks in batting average. So we'll go back up here. And oops, that's the wrong one. Where is the thing of a jig? Oh, it's up here. We are looking at the Poverty Franchise, which is Jets team, 9-19. He's been doing a lot better, but we are looking to see why his team all of a sudden has a very good batting average. And right off the bat, Yandy Diaz would be the guy. But let's focus on Yandy Diaz. I know you've been a big fan. Anything else that Yandy Diaz is doing differently this season compared to in years past?
Yandy Diaz is just being Yandy Diaz. And once again, with him, it's a conglomerate of multiple guys. The Nolan Jones is actually hit for a high average. Orlando Arcia's only been basically high average, but also the secondary guys like Harold Ramirez and Lane Thomas. I think Lane Thomas has been a really underrated fantasy player. I had him on several teams this year, knowing that, one, he's on the Nationals. There's not much playing time to go around in that outfield. And when he came over from the Cardinals to the Nationals, he did very well. Nice little combo of power and speed. He's got 14 home runs, 8 stolen bases, but a 303 batting average. And when you tie in all the guys that are hitting for quality averages, and he doesn't have really one player sinking them, that ends up to put Jet pretty high up there in batting average.
All right, we quickly move down. As you see, I'm just kind of trying to move on as quickly as I can. James Pino's, he is, what did I say? He was 10th place in the Roto standings, right? Is that what it was? Yeah, Roto standings. But he does have an impressive home run number. He's second. He has the second most home runs in the league. And there's a who's who. I mean, we see some guys who are in this home run derby. At least Randy Rosarena is. Freddie Freeman, who has been in previous home run derbies. Josh Young is the super rookie. But let's focus on Max Muncy, who's having a bounce back year. I forgot if you liked him or not. I know I definitely didn't like him coming into the season, but the counting stat is nice. The batting average isn't. But Max Muncy, 21 home runs. Is he fully healed from that elbow injury? Is he
I don't know.
back?
I've always liked Muncy, but I've always just the last couple of years, I'm like, is he done? Is he not done?
Is he Adam Dunn?
Yeah, basically. And it's funny looking at his track stats. James only has 14 of Muncy's 21 home runs, so hasn't collected all of them there. But he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double-digit home runs between Wander Franco, Andrew Vaughn, Max Muncy, Josh Young, Randy Rosarena, and Freddie Freeman. So he's got just a bunch of like solid hitters that have power. Like not the best of hitters, but he's got Jordan Walker, Ezekiel Duran was in there for a little bit. So nice quality home run contributors. Like nobody's giving him like a 0 there, really.
Then we go to Aaron's team, who we mentioned is tied. Ooh, wow, it's tied for 7. There's a 3-way race for 7th place. So, like I said, we're not doing too much of deep analysis. We're just kind of showcasing, spotlighting some of these players. She has a pretty decent on-base percentage against, I should say. And I want to highlight a starting pitcher. Let's go with, wow, Eduardo Rodriguez with a 257 on-base percentage against. Eduardo Rodriguez has always been a mystery player to me, always hurt. So that's kind of prevented him from going to that, trustworthy level in fantasy circles. I think 1 year, because of his projections, I had him as a top 25 starting pitcher coming into a draft. Boy, that was a mistake. But now he's living up to his speed. He's having a really good season. But again, a lot of it, he's been hurt for a big chunk of it as well, I feel like.
Yeah, only made 12 starts, but 6 of them have been quality starts. And
wow.
215 batting average against. And it's a good, pitcher's ballpark there in Detroit. But he always seemed to me like a guy that could really help you if he stayed healthy. Because it was like he never had a crazy high price tag, really, but it was always before the injuries really kicked in. He had that 200 inning year, I think, in 2019 or 2018. And it's like those guys, they don't win you championships, but they definitely help you a lot compared to their draft price.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it right there. All right, we go over to Angel's team. I saw that he kind of has one of the more patient teams in terms of strikeouts. So, yeah, and then, the big fat number here is Eugenio Suarez, who has over 100. But I'm trying to see if there's a particular player here with a pretty decent walk to strikeout ratio on his team in terms of the hitters. And it's not popping up. Maybe Adam Frazier, but we know what Adam Frazier is all about. Plus, I wanted to get a bigger name in here. I guess we could talk about, you want to talk about Christian Walker?
Yeah, or Tim Anderson. I'm looking at his full fantasy. He's had Tim Anderson for over 100 at bats, only struck out in 21, 22 of them. He had Judge, but Judge strikes out a lot, but also a lot of walks. Trout, lots of strikeouts, lots of walks. I guess having Merrifield, Edman, those guys don't strike out a whole lot. Andrew Benintendi doesn't strike out a whole lot. So it's definitely an interesting group. Christian Walker, for what he is, hasn't struck out much for him. He's played Christian Walker for 188 at bats, only 38 strikeouts during that time, with 24 walks and 9 home runs.
Next guy on the list is James. So let's go to the pitching side of things. I see that he also has a lot of saves this year. Yeah, let's go with that. He has a lot of saves this year. So let's see. You guys got to shorten your names here. What's up with this? Like 39 characters per name. Come on.
5-paragraph essay.
5-paragraph essay. That's a good one. Saves, Devin Williams. Oh, well, that's going to help a lot. I actually saw him in person. He got into a little bit of trouble against the Cubs on Monday. Little bit in trouble, but he was able to get out of that jam that he got himself into and preserve the save and the win for the Milwaukee Brewers. But Devin Williams. Oh, and I got to tell you, Sean, when I was in Milwaukee, and let me see if I could tag him, James, really quick. While I was in Milwaukee, they announced the All-Star teams that Devin Williams was going to be representing the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
Okay, the day before, though, I was at Wrigley Field where the Cubs play. Not Wrigley Field North, but where the actual Chicago Cubs play. And they announced Marcus Stroman, Dansby Swanson, Justin Steele as All-Stars. Big standing ovation, like loud ovation for those three guys for representing the Cubs at the All-Star game. I turn around Monday afternoon. They do the same thing for Devin Williams. Nothing. Just nothing. They show him on the big board, just kind of looking up at himself, but no one made a peep. And that's very telling because he's been your best pitcher this whole time for like the last 2 or 3 years. And no reaction from the crowd. I was there. You can't tell me I'm lying. I was there. You can ask Jet if he's still on the chat. I was there. Not a peep. I even mentioned it. How come there's no one reading for one of the better relief pitchers in all of baseball? What's up with that? But let you, Sean, I will let you give Devin Williams his flowers. Give him his flowers. Why is Devin Williams so damn good?
Airbender.
Damn right. Is that the big changeup?
Yeah, the screwball changeup, whatever you want to call it. It's an absurd pitch. It's going on his 4th season now, and they still haven't figured out how to hit it.
Well, the Cubs almost did, but he got it back in line.
I feel like most of it, like his thing is like he has more walks than hits allowed. In 32 innings, he has 18 walks, 17 hits. So it's like if he gets into trouble, I feel like a lot of it's just like his own doing, and teams just not swinging.
Yeah, that's basically how the Cubs were able to figure him out. But again, he was able to get out of that jam that he got himself into. Moving on to Andrew O'Sullivan's team. What team is it? Oh, Big Dinger Energy. Does he have a lot of Big Dinger Energy? Close, pretty good. But we're going to focus on stolen bases because it looks like he leads the league. Yes, he leads the league in stolen bases. So I see Bryson Stott, Kristen Yelich. Kristen Yelich, by the way, had himself a game on Monday. And it looks like he is now back. And we just mentioned Julio Rodriguez. And then Starling Marte. Any one guy you want to spotlight on this team in terms of stolen bases?
Which team are we on? Sorry.
Big Dinger Energy, Andrew O'Sullivan's team.
Andrew.
Stolen bases.
Let's see. Stolen bases, full fantasy team. Because so he has Starling Marte. I'm sure he would love if I would just sit here and rant about how much I hate Starling Marte. But he has 21 stolen bases for Andrew, so. And of course, Christian Yelich sneaking in 14. Not Jazz Chisholm, Bryson Stott with 15. Yeah, it's just he's getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double digits and steals is that's huge. And 2 guys over 20. Yeah, that definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, if only it would actually help him in the standings.
So he must not have. Okay, yeah, he traded Ruiz. He also had Esteury Ruiz. He drafted him, but traded him to James. So he could have had even more steals if he had kept Esteury Ruiz.
Quickly moving over to Leon's team, we're going to focus on, let's go focus on innings pitch as he's among the league leaders in innings pitch. But before we do, Jet has some comments. Devin Williams isn't playing in the All-Star team. He also blew a save against the Reds this week. Also, Corbin Burns is in right now. So normally that'd be a good thing, but I don't know, Sean. I've seen what Corbin Burns has done this season, and it just seems like the pickings are slim up in Milwaukee. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would have rather.
I'm surprised I didn't give Yelich.
I would have rather seen him.
Yeah, because especially the National League outfield. Like that's the other thing that pisses me off about Brandon Nimmo not being named is you looked at the replacements for the outfield. The bench pieces, it was Lourdes Gurriel, who I know had a hot little stretch, and Jorge Soler. And I would understand putting those guys in if they were their team's sole representatives, but they weren't. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, these guys aren't that good. Sorry. But rant over. Rant over. Brandon Nimmo and Christian Yelich are better than both of them.
Leon's smoking aces team in 9th place with a 12-16 record. We're gonna focus on innings pitched. He has 3 guys over 100 innings. Sonny Gray is at 99.2, but the 3 guys over 100 innings are Josiah Gray, the homer pick that he made. I would have cut him a long time ago, but I guess if you're looking for counting stats, that's the way to go. Jesus Luzardo with 103, and the guy we're going to focus on is Shane Bieber at 110 innings pitched. I feel like there's a lot of Shane Bieber, like, what's the word I'm looking for? The hype isn't as there like it should be, but once again, he's all he does is go out there every 5 games and pitches. Maybe he's not getting the sexy numbers like he has in the past.
Oh, no, he's definitely worse, but he's still just eating innings like no other. Yeah, so his team right now, if you look at the track stats, you know what he's actually gotten. He's gotten all 110 innings from Shane Bieber, and he's gotten 82 innings from Max, 81 innings from Gray, 80 innings from Steele, and nearly 80 innings from Jesus Luzardo. That's 5 quality guys just right there, not even counting, you know, the Patrick Sandoval's that he has on the roster, the Hunter Green, Mackenzie Gore, who it looks like he's kind of picked. What's his season long ERA? I can't see because my screen is not wide enough. 4.5. So yeah, so he's hasn't gotten some of his good starts, but definitely quality arms on this roster. That's just the hitting has left a lot to be desired.
Over to Mike's team, Molina Applebaum. That's still a damn good name. Now that's what I'm talking about. Not
no, that's like, a name.
That's a fantasy, not this 5-paragraph essay nonsense you guys are trying to pull off here. Angel James. But that's short, sweet, to the point. It's a Tribe Called Quest reference. I love it. But what are we talking about? Molina Applebaum. RBI is the stat that we're going to look at. So RBI, there's a few guys here with 60. I see Ozzy Albies, Nolan Arenado. Those are guys that we all like on this podcast, right? Josh Naylor. But I see with the big fat number 73 is Adolis Garcia, who is a player that we talked about already.
Still leading the league in RBIs, isn't he not? Well, he's at 73 already, which just seems absurd. He might be behind Olsen now. Let me look. RBIs.
Yeah.
Nope, he's still leading the league. He's at 73.
Wow.
And Ohtani and Olsen are at 71. Okay, that's just absurd to think that a guy who's also a pitcher is also second in MLB in RBIs. And first in home runs. That's whatever, but God.
And really quick, before I move on to Jacob's team, Mike's team, Molina's Applebombs, that was the one that we criticized heavily during the start of the season. And I think he's already beaten me twice. I think he's beaten me twice already. So that shows how much I know. But that's the one team that we accused of just playing it way too safe. And here he is. He has that list of guys that we don't like. I know you don't like Ozzy Albies. Nolan Arenado, I avoid him all the time. Whether that's a mistake or not, I don't care. He doesn't do anything for me. And Adolis Garcia, great counting stats, but just awful rate stats, the average and the on-base percentage. That's why I think he's going to be, because the raw ability of Adolis Garcia is perfect for the home run derby.
Yeah, the dude who wants to go up there and just swing.
Yeah. But yeah, you sacrifice the on-base percentage for the counting stats, and that's what Mike is doing. And then we move on to Jacob. I forgot to tag him as I'm trying to do 20 things at once here. Jacob, we're going to focus on holds for Jacob Moses, who is currently in, 3rd place? I thought I saw 2nd place with a 19-9 record, but I think he was 3rd in the Roto standings. Where's the holds? There they are. 12 and 13 has Giovanni Gallegos and Mark Leiter Jr., who is a guy we talked about, and James Karinchak, who is currently in the minors.
I was say, so he only has 24 holds, puts him with the most holds. I feel like everyone's just punted holds. I felt like early on, it was we were still trying to keep one RP in there that was middle relief and good rate stats. I feel like by now it's just all closers.
Well, is there somebody you want to spotlight here, whether it be Gallegos or Mark Leiter Jr.? I know we talked about Leiter Jr. before.
I guess Leiter's come down to earth a little bit, 3 ERA, but 52 strikeouts in 36 innings. That'll help you to go along with the 6 holds that he's contributed to Jacob's team.
Your team is next, as I'm kind of struggling here. Really quick, Giovanni.
We're not good at anything.
No, but you know what? Your team is Ultimate Punch and Judy. Again, this is a very good baseball name, by the way. Mad Dog Magical, short and sweet to the point. And you're a Punch and Judy team. At least that's how I envision you. So we're gonna look at singles for you. Bo Bichette with 84, and that's a guy you didn't like, and all of a sudden, Mr. All-Star, probably one of the, do I dare say, the best shortstop in all of baseball in the last 2 years? I don't know, Sean, but you have him on your team. Go ahead and speak glowingly about him.
Yeah, that was a guy that I have tried to get rid of multiple times over the last couple of years, ever since I acquired him last year. But I'm glad I didn't. I've had swoons of my lineup where they just can't hit, and then for like a weekend period, they'll hit like 7 home runs. It's very frustrating. But Bo Bichette's been kind of the one guy I can count on to go out there week after week, matchup after matchup, and give me a couple of hits, an RBI, and just kind of keep the train moving, score some runs.
And with that, we move on to my team, number one in the hood, G. Although I will point out that you and I have been going back and forth in the Roto standings. So, but as you can see, Roto standings suggest that not only am I the number one team in Roto standings, but my win-loss record is as legit as a hot day in July, here in the Midwest, at the very least. You know why? Because I'm on fire. First place in the Roto standings, first place in the win-loss standings.
Scotty's on fire.
And that was with me just having a very rough, there was a point in the season after we had our discussion back around early May, when we first had our first discussion in our league here, Sean, where after that, I was basically the worst team. Like, no matter what I did, I was the absolute worst team in this league. And it looked like my very good start to this year looked very fluky. And all the things that I talked about in that first episode with Angel Morales was coming to fruition. But we're going to focus on my pitching staff and the wins category. And there he is, Nate Eovaldi. And, well, obviously Clayton Kershaw, but let's talk about Nate Eovaldi, because we know who Kershaw is. But Nate Eovaldi, we've always liked Nate Eovaldi, but again, injuries were always a concern. But he's healthy this year. He's in that big ballpark in Texas. He's taking advantage of the dimensions, taking advantage of a better team. Anything you want to add about Eovaldi here?
Well, I wanted to go back and check, because I know a few starts ago, I don't want to rain on your parade, but I'm going to rain on your parade. The velo had dipped like by 2 ticks, and then he came back in the game, and I just trying to see what his velocities look like the last few starts, but I will look into it later.
I did notice that he had a couple of bad starts in recent memory.
Because that was the thing, it was a few bad starts, and then it was kind of like, oh crap, like what's like, he's obviously hurt, but he had a stretch where he gave him 4, 3, 4, 2, and then he's had a couple of quality starts. He did just give up 4 runs in his last start in 5 innings, but he's had a good year. It's just you always kind of hold your breath with Nate Eovaldi. It's one of those hanging on by a thread, and that's both your hope in him and his elbow. So
I think he'll be fine. He needs some rest. But you know who else on that team has
somebody get him a pop?
A PCP injection. PRP, what's it called? PRP, plasma enriched.
Yeah,
PEP, PRP,
platelet enrichment something. I don't know.
PEP, OPP. Yeah, you know me. The other guy struggling on that team is John Gray. I know this because I have him in both of those guys on my ESPN league, and they've been pretty solid for me this whole season. And then the last couple of weeks, I can't trust them, but I don't have the guts to bench them because I feel. First of all, my team is anyway. That's another league. Austin is supposed to come on the show one of these days, or I'm supposed to go on his show and talk about that league. So whenever he's ready, I am here for that. But that is the standing. And then one last thing, Sean, since the last time we talked about this league looks like you posted that episode on May 8th. So I have for you the May 8th to July 9th standings in our league. We're going back 18 games. And sure enough, I told you I got out to a really bad stretch where nothing was going right for my team. Nothing. I looked at the pitching standings and the hitting standings. I was in dead last, and I was doing worse than Henry. You know how hard it is to do worse than Henry. But there, so since May 8th, since the last time we talked about it, Sean has gone 12-6, and I mentioned Mike Harvey. I think he's beaten me twice since then, 11-7. And so has my team gone 11-7. So we bounced back pretty resiliently here. And then Jacob has, since the last time we talked about his team, where I gave him a little bit of a pep talk, and he's also had a share of first place in the overall standings, but he's gone 11-7 as well. So there's a three-way tie for second. There's Angels team 10-8 since May 8th. I know that Jets team is usually at the bottom of the list, but since that last time we talked about this league, he's also gone 10-8 and has just been a thorn on everybody's side. Although, as soon as we give him some accolades, he goes on a 3-game losing streak. So nothing lasts forever in this league, right? There's James at 9-9. There's Henry doing a lot better than his overall standing at 8-10, still a losing record though. 8-10 for Smoking Aces, tied for 8th. Big Dinger Energy. I know that he was on the bottom of that list that we talked about. We were kind of making fun of him, but he's currently on a 3-game winning streak. Aaron is 6-12, but on a current 2-game winning streak. And then James 4-14 since May 8th with a current 4-game losing streak. And then quickly to the Roto standings, Sean, just to humor me a little bit, just to peep it on the record here. As of July 9th, since May 8th, since the last time we talked about it, we mentioned that you and I have been going back and forth on Roto standings. There you are, number 1 since May 8th. I'm number 2. Andrew Sullivan, so a little bit of bad luck for him. Bad win-loss record, but really good Roto standings at 1.
It's like I had a big win streak in there, but I also feel like I haven't really gotten there yet. Because it was like there was the win streak, and then things have kind of, I don't know. I'm not a believer in my own team yet. I do not have faith.
Yeah, your team is stacked, but you're not a believer in. Yeah, shut up, Sean. Big Dinger Energy, Andrew Sullivan in 3rd place. Like I mentioned, like I mentioned, bad luck. That just screams of bad luck for the poor guy. He has an awful win loss, but really good Roto standing. Jacob, little pep talk that I gave him last time we talked about it. He's now in 4th place and also has had a really good stretch since then. There's Mike's team in 5th place. Leon's team. Again, 6th place, so I think his Roto standing is better than his win-loss standing since May 8th. Same thing with Erin, who's done a lot better in the Roto standings than she has in the win-loss column since May 8th, so a bit of bad luck. Then we get to the bottom, the bottom 5 teams. There's James, I forgot what his win-loss record, but yeah, he's been pretty fluky. Even with the bad win-loss record, he's still kind of fluky. You bet on winning? No, you're not. You're not only a bad win-loss record, but you also have awful Roto standing. Angel.
Sheesh.
Angel. Well, I mean, Angel, who's we mentioned that his little rivalry with Aaron at 14-14 in the overall standing, but since May 8th, he's been really putrid since then. So poverty franchise. Okay, so now we're seeing that stretch where he got to 8-10 and got into that massive winning streak about a month ago. Been a fluke. All fluke. He's been a fluke. Not a real team.
You're a fraud.
You're a fraud. And finally, King Puti. Yeah, you are what your Roto standings are. You're awful. You're bad. And you should be ashamed of yourself. But it's okay. He's somewhere in the ocean on a cruise line enjoying life. This is like the last thing he's worried about.
Yes.
So he's, I guess he's a winner in life after all.
A winner in heart.
But in fake life, in terms of fantasy, we're the real G's right here. Right, Sean?
Yeah, totes. Totes my goats.
You're damn right. Anyway, that is it. We covered everything that we wanted to cover today. Any last words from you, Sean?
No, this was a good one. Glad to be back on. We'll see how the home run derby goes. Be watching it closely, as well as the draft tonight. The drafts for those that care.
Who are the players we got to look out for?
The great Major League crapshoot, as I like to call it.
Every draft ever.
Yeah, you're gonna have 2 teammates likely go 1 and 2. With the LSU Tigers, Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz.
What position?
Pitcher, Skeens is the pitcher, Cruz is the outfielder.
Wait, is it CRUZ or CRUISC?
CREWES?
Oh, that guy. I've seen that name before.
Yeah, he's been a top target for the draft ever since really he was in high school before he went to LSU. So,
And what position? I'm sorry.
Outfield.
Oh, okay.
Center. Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't think he plays center. I think it's more of like the power bat corner outfielder type at the major league level. But lots of power, big exit velos. But I'm not so sure about him. I've seen some under the hood stuff about his swing and chase rates and swing and miss, and I'm kind of like, whatever.
I'm only interested in center field prospects. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then when they fail, I just put them in right field.
Damn right you do.
I find the fast, speedy infielder, and once they make 20 errors in a season, I just put their ass in center field.
Yeah, I'm at a point where I only care about hotshot prospect shortstops or hotshot prospect center fielders, because if the shortstop experiment fails, they can always move to second base and suddenly they look stupendous in that position, or they go to center field and they can still be, the stalwarts that they can be, except that they're not playing shortstop anymore. But yeah, I've seen what the third base prospects look like as the lower levels you go. It's not a pretty sight. I remember we did this exercise a while back ago, and we had a difficult time looking for anybody. And I've been burned by third base prospects before. I mean, I'm still hurting from the DJ Peterson thing from like 10 years ago.
Well, it's like, I'm trying to think of the guy. I'm like 2013, 2014. College bat, the Mets drafted at third base out of, I think, Miami. David Thompson was his name. And like, you just looked at his tape and you looked at him in the minors, and like early on you could tell like college bat, professional approach. And then like right when he got to people that were his age level, dude just fell apart and just completely never made it to the majors, just leveled out in AAA. And I was just like, because I remember when I looked at him, I was like, oh my God, we got our new David Wright, because he was picked highly. I think it was like the second round or something like that. And he's only 29 years old, out of baseball, hasn't played since 2021. Damn.
And I would put catchers in that spot, but we talked about how unpredictable catchers are. But I wanted to take that segue and talk about Ivan Herrera. It's looking like a pretty damn good pickup for me at this point, as he's off to a great start in his major league career.
Oh, did he get called up?
Yeah, and I think it's the second stint, right? This is the second time, or is this his first time?
I know he got called up like last year for a little bit. I think it was an injury or something, but I didn't know he got called up again.
He's here to stay. And, we talked about how awful the Cardinals were in the last episode we talked about. And then Austin, when I saw him on Monday, he goes, do you think the pitching is so bad with the Cardinals, both the starters and the bullpen? Do you think it's so bad because Yadier Molina's not around? And I told him, if that's the case, then they're in big trouble, because they've had years to groom and develop another catcher to kind of take that torch.
Well, it's funny because like they groomed probably 3 different guys that were all highly rated. I mean,
Andrew Knizer.
Carson Kelly.
Yeah,
like Carson Kelly was supposed to be the heir apparent, and there was one guy before Carson Kelly. And then Kisner took over after they traded Kelly. But it's like, and then Ivan Herrera came along. I'm trying to think of the guy who was before Carson Kelly. But it's like each time they're like, oh, we have this guy for when Yadier's ready to retire. And then Yadier never retired. Then they were kind of like playing hot potato. And they're like, okay, you got to go, guy. We got to trade you then. Like, we're not going to use you. And I was just like, sooner or later, I thought that was going to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The situation with, and this is the conversation we had at the White Sox team. With the White Sox, with Jose Abreu and Andrew Vaughn, where they thought Jose Abreu would be done by now, and he was still the best White Sox hitter to a lot of White Sox fans' horror. Not that it's a bad thing, but when your best hitter is a 35-year-old, that's a red flag, because you team full of young players who haven't developed. And Andrew Vaughn had to move to the outfield with very disastrous results. And that's all we were waiting for. Andrew Vaughn can't play first base because Jose Abreu owns that position. He can't play DH because there's about 17 DHs on that team. So it's the same situation. And Andrew Knizer was the last guy that they were trying to develop while Molina was still on his last legs.
I didn't realize how bad Tim Anderson's been this year.
Oh, he's been awful. He's really bad.
46 WRC plus, negative 0.9 WAR. Oh.
I was listening to the Dan Bernstein and Lawrence Holmes show here in Chicago, and Lawrence Holmes mentioned that, not many people know that he's playing with a really bad shoulder. And I did notice that while he was playing shortstop, he was kind of being very careful with the way he was throwing the ball to first base. Like very.
I just kept seeing the meme on Twitter of Tim Anderson in his last 300 at bats or plate appearances, whatever. It said 0 home runs, and then it showed Zach Greinke. It said Zach Greinke in his last 300 at bats, 5 home runs.
No, Greinke's here to play, man. He came to play again.
Wouldn't that be fun if like Zach Greinke just said, "I'm in the home run derby"?
Oh man, all the boomers in our baseball life group would be like, "Oh yeah, the time to make pitching hitter great again." No, but as I was telling, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, the Cardinals are in deep trouble because, again, Andrew Kanizer was the guy that was supposed to be the heir apparent, and now you got Ivan Herrera, who I'm really hopeful, at the very least, with his bat. But I'm very hopeful that answers, from a baseball standpoint, because screw the Cardinals. But from a baseball standpoint, I'm hoping that that is their answer to the prayer, so we could stop hearing about Molina's impact on the team. Like, bro, we knew it was coming to an end. And God bless the Cardinals. They tried to get that fixed with Wilson Contreras, and that ended up being a very bad move on their part as they're learning the things that the deficiencies of Wilson Contreras with the Cubs, that he brought him over with the Cardinals. But yeah, I don't know. Yes, there's something to be said about a catcher, a really good catcher. We talk about the difference makers that catchers can be on teams. I think about Ivan Rodriguez when he signed with the Tigers and how they became World Series contenders, or Ivan Rodriguez when he signed with the Marlins and how they became World Series contenders. And so Adley Rutschman last year, we get it. But I don't know, man. There was also something to be said about how every year we come in talking about the Cardinals. Every season, Sean, you and I talk about the Cardinals in March. And the names are impressive, but there's just something about them that we don't like. We don't trust. There's something off about them. It's a bunch of shaky names like the Jordan Hicks, even the Giovanni Gallegos. I do like Giovanni Gallegos, but there's something that's telling me, don't get this guy. He's just going to break your heart. Genesis Cabrera, is he still around? I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's another name I always think about.
Lefty.
And that's just the bullpen. Then you go to the starting rotation, Adam Wainwright and his 43-year-old arm. Jack Flaherty, he's always hurt. And a bunch of guys that they develop who cannot keep their walks in check. The Dakota Hudsons, the Matthew Liberatore. Even if Molina wasn't around, well, I guess you can make an argument that Molina would have done whatever it takes to.
Maybe this is why Molina retired. He saw the writing on the wall.
This is going to ruin my legacy. Next thing they're going to blame me like they're blaming Wilson Contreras. So I don't want to put too much stock in the Molina thing, but I get what Austin was getting at. And there is something to be said about that. But the Cardinals were already shooting themselves in the foot before all this. And I think it's finally, we talk about regression catching up to you. I think this is one of those things where the pitching regression has cut up to the Cardinals. And that is why and plus you're trusting on Paul Goldschmidt, who's in his late 30s. You're trusting Nolan Arenado, who had a lot of flukiness to his game. I know that's going to piss off a lot of Nolan Arenado stands out there. But
I believe I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and and I don't want to bash them. Because he played in Colorado. There's a lot of things about him that make me go, none of this makes sense, and I'd rather not be a part of this.
It's like the feeling. It's like the feeling of this will not age well.
Yeah, well, you know who didn't age well? Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
and I like
the Canadian Adonis who just can't stay healthy.
Canadian Adonis Garcia.
Well, it's funny because there's the one guy on Twitter, Cardinals Reeks. He's a big Cardinal, a pretty big following on Twitter of Cardinals fans. And he just, every time I see him, he's just ranting about Paul Goldschmidt when there's runners on base, or Nolan Arenado's defense, which has been very bad this year. And I'm just like, oh, it's like just sitting by, like watching as Rome burns. And I'm just like flipping popcorn into my mouth, seeing Cardinals fans just like devour themselves.
Really quick, to comment from James really late in the show as we're trying to wrap this up. But this is why I laugh at fans when they ask, why do the Yankees keep drafting and signing shortstops? Well, because usually the best athletes are at shortstop, and if they can hit, you can move them somewhere else. And we've seen that. I mean, Nico Horner was a shortstop. Now he's at second base.
Juan Lagares was a shortstop coming up, and he turned into a Gold Glove center fielder.
Damn right.
He never learned how to hit, but...
And Tim, something else that I learned from the Bornstein and Holmes show this past week. They did an interview with Mark DeRosa recently, or maybe a month ago. I don't know when, but they did an interview with Mark DeRosa, and Mark DeRosa talks about, I would like to have Tim Anderson, his bat in the lineup when there's a lefty on the mound. But this only works if I can move Anderson to another position, whether it be third base or second base. And again, this is Mark DeRosa. This is a Mark DeRosa, poor Mark DeRosa, being told by major league teams what he can and cannot do. But he did go up to Anderson and goes, hey, I know that your team doesn't want you to get away from shortstop, but if the time comes and I need to move you, are you open to move to third base and second base? And Anderson, hell yeah, I am. And
Lawrence he ended up playing some second base in the.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. He ended up playing some second base in the World Baseball Classic.
I think I can remember him playing second base. I know Jeff McNeil was like the true second baseman on that team.
Well, McNeil didn't play that much. Anderson, I think, played more second base.
No, I did see plenty of Jeff McNeil in person, so I remember him being there. But my point about Tim Anderson was with Lawrence Holmes. He mentioned, can you really think about it? Tim Anderson, that might have been the last time he was happy playing baseball. Was at the WBC this year? Because there's now talks. Now there's talks about some White Sox players not wanting to be a part of this team, and I don't blame them. Lance Lynn wants out. Tim Anderson may want out. And who knows who else wants to get the hell out of Dodge.
Is that why Lance Lynn's finally pitching well? He's like, I gotta pitch well. If they're gonna trade me, I gotta pitch well.
Yeah, I gotta showcase this fastball. It still has life in it, damn it. All 6 of my fastballs has life in it. James is warning me, hey, don't talk about Jackie like that, Tim Anderson. There was a meme, Sean. I don't know if you saw the meme that was shared.
Hey, Jeff McNeil, 9 at-bats for Team USA. Tim Anderson had 18 at-bats for Team USA.
So he did probably play multiple. I don't remember.
And he's listed as second base.
Okay,
I was about
so
to say, like, I kept like screaming at the screen. I was like, why is he playing second?
And that's why, because he was open to it. Yeah. Mark DeRosa said that he was open to it and he was happy for it.
He hit well in the WBC. I mean, 6 games, but
I told people, hey, do not blame the White Sox contingent if Team USA doesn't make it far. Because our White Sox players, never mind the hat that I'm wearing, our White Sox players are keeping Team USA hopes alive. Kendall Graveman, Lance Lynn, and Tim Anderson. You're welcome, America. You're very welcome.
Kendall Graveman's still alive?
Last I checked, yeah. I didn't see him on the 4th of July, though, so I don't know where he was.
He pitched 1 1/3 innings for Team USA. Ooh.
That's all all he was allowed to do.
Yeah, Lance Lynn pitched the most innings, though.
He's a horse, man. He's a horse.
Did you see that? What did he have? The 17 strikeout game or whatever it was?
Yeah, something. Oh, he wants to get traded.
That was absurd. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, was that his like screw you guys trade me game?
I think it was 18. But
who saw that coming?
Did you see that meme though, where Josh Donaldson has been putrid ever since he referred to Tim Anderson as Jackie Robinson? I would like to see what Tim Anderson has done since then, because he like James says, don't talk about Jackie Robinson like that. Tim Anderson, no, he's not. I've been warning people, don't get Tim Anderson. Don't get Tim Anderson. He'll just break your heart. And sure enough, this is a come. If you're a Tim Anderson owner, what's your hope here, Sean?
He has surgery if his shoulder's hurt.
And then you drop him, or did you drop him a while back ago, or do you
I wouldn't have Tim Anderson on my team. I've never been a fan of the profile. It is not enough power or whatever.
Come on, we try to warn you guys. We really do. We want to help you guys succeed. So, but some of you don't listen. Some of you go, nah, I like Tim Anderson because he has 2020 stolen base potential, home run potential. No, he's just going to break your heart, man.
No. He's
going to break your heart, just like every White Sox team known to man. Anyway, that's a good place to stop. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope everybody has fun at tomorrow's home run derby. Probably one of our admins is going to put up a post to follow along in the thread. I already told my wife, don't bother me. I'm going to watch it.
Like the NFL
I never
draft.
miss it. Like the NFL, well, I missed the NFL draft, the NBA draft,
or NBA draft. That's what it was.
Yeah, I do like the NFL draft. I do watch the NFL draft religiously, but only because I have a good friend who wants to watch it every year. So, Sean, I forgot to ask you, will the MLB draft ever be the same as the NBA or NFL draft?
No, never will.
Okay.
Maybe if they allow the trading of draft picks, but I never see that happening. That would add more spice to it on draft night and trades. Because I feel like that's the number one thing that people love about NBA and NFL is the draft day trades and stuff like that.
It just seems so bland. Like there's
it's even I know in other sports the players don't show up for draft night because they want to have their home party or whatever. But it's like for the Major League Baseball draft, maybe with the new setup during the All-Star game and having the whole combine there before, you're going to have more talent that's actually at the draft, which is a good thing. But I mean, it used to be when they'd have it in Secaucus, New Jersey at the MLB offices, there'd be like 10 players there, and I'm like, this is just. Ugh.
And it's like a golf outing. It's like everybody's polite.
Everyone's very quiet.
Very quiet. And with the next pick is Jordan Mason, shortstop, Texas University.
It seems very business-like.
Thank you. That is it.
Like you're going through a board meeting.
You know what it is, Sean? It's a lack of pace of action. It's a pace of play issue with Major League Baseball draft. I think
I'm done with you. We're done. We're done. That's
I think Rob Manfred should look into it. Anyway, Sean over there, Felipe over here. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Adios.